Good afternoon and welcome to the session number 13. All good things come to an end, unluckily. And we are closing these 2 days of successful days with a very important print coverage, media coverage, and a lot of accesses to this edition of the forum. And we'd like to close this forum with a very important session, which is connected to a cultural initiative developed in Turin, but which takes place in one of the Emirates, which is more focused on culture, which is Sharjah Emirate. We have 2 shorts now illustrating these initiatives, and then we will have the curator of the Sharia Museum of Islamic Civilization that cured the exhibition in Turin and then transported it to Sharjah. And now we can show the 2 video clips.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you. Hello and good afternoon to all esteemed guests in attendance here today. My name is Intisar Al-Ubaidli and I'm a curator at Sharjah Museum of Islamic Civilization.
Sono Intisar Al-Ubaidli.
The Emirates of Sharjah in the United Arab Emirates. At our museums, we undertake projects and organize exhibitions and programs that aim to open up channels of intercultural and interfaith dialogues, fostering and supporting the exchange of knowledge and experiences. One such exhibition is the Drop by Drop, Life Falls from the Sky, Water, Islam and Art, currently on show at the Sharjah Museum of Islamic Civilization, organized in cooperation with the Italian Foundation MUSI, the foundation of a museum in Turin. This unique exhibition brings together 120 objects from 16 renowned Italian public and private collections, as well as collections of the Sharjah Museum of Islamic Civilization and Sharjah Art Museum. The 5-month-long exhibition explores the fascinating connection between water, art, and Islam through the sections which are the blessing of water and Islam, water and daily life, traditional hammam, and gardens. With the support and directives of His Highness Sheikh Dr. Sultan Al-Qasimi, member of the Supreme Council of the UAE and ruler of Sharjah. The museum always aims to attract distinct exhibitions that reflect the arts, history, science, and the cultures of Islamic civilization, and its connection with the other civilization, both historically and in the modern day. I would like to extend our gratitude to our Italian partners whom have made it possible to realize this exhibition, Drop by Drop, Life Falls from the Sky, Water, Islam and Art. And I invite you all to visit it the next time you are in the UAE. Thank you.
So you have seen the two clips, one on the museums in general, because we are talking about more than one museum in Sharjah Emirate, and the second clip is about this exhibition, Drop by Drop, Life Falls from the Sky, Water, Islam and Art, which I had the privilege to be a curator of, together with the director and curator of the museum, the National Museum of Islamic Art in Sharjah. And I felt really sort of very emotional in seeing this young colleague of mine explaining the exhibition, which was born in Turin, actually, at the Oriental Museum of Art in Turin, or Museum of Oriental Art, MAO in Turin, and which we have conceived in Turin. We did conceive in Turin. But what is interesting is that this exhibition in Sharjah does not replicate the one which was shown in Turin, but it was actually a different kind of activity in cooperation with the Sharjah Museum. As a curator, I was in Sharjah, of course, before the exhibition was put up, but also during the designing phase of the exhibition. I visited their museum that I already knew about, and together we chose a number of pieces which could come to be added to pieces coming from Italy. You would see some mugs, Turkish mugs, and there was one of Turkish mugs, and there is one, which a very large one, coming also from Palazzo Madama, which is an Italian Torino museum. It was a very important museum. You can, my hand, it's a very colorful exhibition, and this is my personal influence. So the first section is dedicated to the religious institution. So there is a Quran book supplied by Sharjah Museum being exhibited, and the verse is talking about water. And from the religious topic, with also the karag, the talk of the idea of ablutions and praying and fundamental role of water, we go on to water in everyday life, with references to ceramic, cups and metals. So the exhibition has many items made of different materials, all of them connected by water as a subject matter, fish, which of course are a symbol connected to water, and this second section of water in everyday life, and the source of life for all cultures and civilizations. So we also go on to a final section with the garden, the idea of the garden, because the Islamic world is indeed connected, deeply connected to the garden, which is also the idea of the Quran heaven through small tiles and miniatures, 120 pieces of art selected, which we selected, and I'm really proud of this exhibition. I've been curator of many exhibitions around the world. However, in general, the approach has been completely different. This time, we decided to fully cooperate hand in hand with the colleagues and curators of the Sharjah Museum. We did not impose anything, but we did indeed debate on the ideas at the basis of the exhibition, on the possible integration of some of their works, items in their exhibition, which were further highlighted by the exhibition and the showcasing approach we adopted. So this exhibition was therefore developed in full cooperation. As usual, there was also a lot of difficulties, and maybe in my personal, from my personal point of view, the actual exhibition design and the materials, I mean, were no difficulty, but the most complex aspects were represented by the catalog in Arabic, Italian, and in English. And it was difficult to have all the graphical part, the graphics coincide. Also, draft correction in 3 different languages was a very heavy commitment. I guess this was a beautiful experience, which should be the beginning of a new point of view, a new way of designing exhibition in full and real cooperation with other agencies and bodies and countries and situations. So a strong core, an idea, can be developed in different ways through different sensitivities and materials. So this this approach, which should be a common approach, unlike the actual reality, because exhibitions usually are so-called, I call them pret-à-porter exhibition. The exhibition is ready, and then it's already ready, and it can be moved elsewhere to Australia, China. And the receiver sensitivity is never taken into consideration. So designing should be redesigning the exhibition should be a natural path to be followed and indeed rediscovered. So this is an idea at the basis, which was born actually at TIEF during TIEF 2 years ago, with the cooperation of both Alberto Brugnoni and Paolo Biancone. So this is TIEF, which is not only a theoretical meeting of debate. I mean, we do not only talk, we also develop and process ideas which are then actually concretely applied and become reality. I've been working in this sector for the past 40 years, and the Islamic sector also, and I am really proud of this invitation. And I guess that TIEF should have this function, putting together all the pieces of a mosaic, which may look like a puzzle, but then when they come together again, they become a unitary picture, and which we do need. We do need these things. I think I have exhausted my ideas. Thank you very much. Giovanni, and I have a question. The Islamic Italian cultural heritage has three characteristic features. It is very rich, and you find it from Sicily to Trento, from the Alps to the pyramids, I would say. It has not been developed due to colonial activity. It goes through history simply, not through colonization. And the third feature is that it is fully, apart from hyper specialists, it is fully unknown and maybe sort of hidden inside the other heritage we have in Italy. So this was the premises. I have two questions. So what do you think? Is it important for this heritage to come back to light? Yes or no? And why? Yes, why yes, why so? And if your answer is yes, which would be the modes and the approaches that we could follow to use this, to make this heritage accessible to both national and international community?
Yes, certainly. I'm not embarrassed, but it would take me 3-4 days to answer this question. Well, we can extend the TIEF. We have no problem with that. Yes, well, the first answer to this question is, I understand it's more than legitimate, but I've been trying to promote these things for over 40 years. Maybe I couldn't make it. I made different exhibitions. The first one in 1993 in Venice. It was called Islamic Art, Islam Heritage in Palazzo Ducale. So many years went by since then. And we would have a term that I cannot use. Let's say that I would get angry when they tell me, dear professor, your exhibition was launched too early. And I say, well, no, it's you who came too late. Because it was a time when Islam was not talked about, and then it became important and known only due to terrorism. We have a heritage, as you were saying, that is extraordinary. If, as we did in 1993, we can put together not all the works of Islamic art, because that would be impossible, but I'm only thinking of those artifacts, for example, that are in Amalfi, in all churches. You find them all over Italy. You find them in Milano, in Alessandria. You find them all around. They are 6,000. They are an extraordinary heritage. So when we have put together all those things, if it was meant to become a museum, and so a permanent headquarters or permanent location, it would have become the most important Islamic reference point in Europe, if not in the world, because all these artifacts that have come, and they are important both in terms of quality, because they are extraordinary masterpieces, but also the fact that we can, in some cases, for example, in Florence, I come from Florence, that's my hometown, Florence has a leadership in this sense. We have some metals, 5 Islamic metals, that belong to the great Duke's collections. We know that those medals were exhibited in the tribune of the Uffizi. It was the most important place where the Medici family was collecting their works, starting from the 1500s. So nobody has something similar in Europe. So starting from 1509. So that's the result of collections, that's the result of love, also for the flavor for something exotic. And so we have a heritage that is extraordinary and is not known. Well, all in all, we are not able to promote it the way we should. And this is also important to say. I have my own responsibilities, but for example, when I was young, I used to say, well, I have lots of work and no salary, and I also do have a salary. But this is to say that work to be carried out is a lot in this sector. And I am not missing a salary, and I'm not missing ideas. So a wonderful exhibition that we could prepare, opening the horizon, extending this perspective, is an exhibition I have in mind that is Treasures of Islamic Art in European cathedrals. Because the Church, the Vatican, as you were saying earlier, not only the Vatican, the Jesuits, yes, but all of them, not even earlier than the Jesuits, they were carrying these objects. They were sort of relics from the East, and they were treasured in the cathedrals. So they were fabrics, rock crystals, silver, metal basins, carpets, and anything. So all these materials, as you were saying, from Trento to Sicily, Sardinia, all over, are scattered, they are dispersed. So what shall we do? Well, certainly there are some reference points, there are some places that could be identified, and they could be called as districts. One is certainly Palermo in Sicily, certainly Naples in Capodimonte has extraordinary objects, Rome, they are two very widespread, and Florence, that is the center of the National Museum of Bargello. And I have to say that in Bargello something was done, because 3 years ago in 2018 we had this wonderful exhibition that I had again had the honor to cure, and that was Islam and Florence. The title was very simple. Art and collection, with the giraffe logo, with a collection. Maybe I should explain that, otherwise it's not understandable. In an abbey, I brought a stuffed giraffe in the Uffizi, and everybody was startled all over the city, because the giraffe was at the Museum of Natural Science, and it was 2 meters tall. It was a young giraffe, cute, female, and it was taken around Florence on trucks to reach the Uffizi, where it was removed from the box and taken out. So why the giraffe? Because in the 1400s, and in fact I think it was 1482-7, the Egyptian Sultan sent a real giraffe to Lorenzo il Magnifico, and everybody wanted to see this giraffe. In Piazza della Signoria there were crowds getting there to see this giraffe. They used to call it Camille leopard, because the skin is the one of the leopard, but the dimension is certainly different. Even the nuns wanted to see the giraffe. And of course, in 2018, I made a comparison, of course, a blasphemous one, saying that a giraffe is like when Ronaldo, the football player, came to Turin. Everybody wanted to see Ronaldo in Turin. So this giraffe had a life. It had a short life because it died after 1 month. They put a cage for this giraffe who broke his neck and died. But later on, another sultan from Egypt sent another giraffe to Florence. And this lasted 1.5 years and died. And so it was stuffed. The stuffed giraffe is the one I brought to the Uffizis. And in the Uffizi, they told me, well, what can you do? Well, we put it at the entrance, and so you see the selfie point, everybody taking the picture with the giraffe. There were absolute masterpieces, but the giraffe was the attraction. And so they told me, Professor, we know that you have a certain creativity and you also have high expectations, but not so high as to disassemble a ceiling of Palazzo Vecchio to show the painting that Vasari made next to it with the giraffe. And so there was this giraffe, the painting by Vasari, depicting Lorenzo il Magnifico with the gift of the giraffe, and then some other things, a prince and a manuscript of Ciriaco of Ancona, who was one of the first humanists in the 15th century, who went to the court of Mahomet II, and he had a giraffe. But Florence had and has a daily relationship with this giraffe. So this exhibition was not long because Florence is a difficult space, but it was successful. This exhibition was successful, and as usual, it had a very good critic, so the comments were very positive. There was an entire page written in the New York Times saying that Florence was preparing this as an exhibition, and Islam was considered something not foreign to the culture, because the two cultures had an exchange, and so it was a mutual exchange. And so it was also interesting to understand what came from Florence and went to the east. So for all the 1300s, silk was coming from the east to the west, and in the 1400s there was another canal. So Florence, Rome, Palermo, also Venice. Venice, the gate to the east, and also the trade of objects. So the exhibition was made by one of my students, and it was called Venice and Islam. I sent also things about the trade of silks and carpets, all this extraordinary world. So we have an extraordinary heritage, and how can we make it known? How can it be exploited? Because Turin, too, has a very large Islamic session. It's not probably outstanding, but it's present and it can be improved. So here we need the collaboration of the museums. We need museums to collaborate. We need to enter in contact with the museum. I know it's not easy because very often the directors of museums misunderstand intention. So they are quite jealous about artworks. It's like a mom saying, please wear the woolen shirt. You should not get a cold. So, and they protect paintings traveling down to the other side of the world, and they say, are they going to be fed when we send them to China? And so we do not deserve sometimes to be the owners of this heritage. And this heritage is very significant in Italy, certainly more than other heritages. For example, the Chinese heritage, the Chinese arts and crafts are recent acquisitions. They do not have the story that we have with Islam. And so we should really carry out awareness raising with museums, because many things can be organized, even small events, the object of the month, and make these works seen, so be flexible. So if I have a group of friends coming, and I'm very close to the family of the emir in Kuwait, and if I have friends coming over from Kuwait, I would like to be able to take them around to see, of course, to see the wonderful Islamic works in Florence. But I wouldn't like these treasures to be opened and available only because I am with them. For example, at the National Library, we have wonderful things that are not visible to the public. Okay, so thank you very much. Thanks a lot for this session that was so colored and interesting. And I believe it was also very enjoyable and witty. So, Paolo, I will ask you to close these 2 days and then open the third one tomorrow. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, Alberto. So with today, we're closing the first part of TIEF, which is traditionally organized on the enhancement of signals from the Chamber of Commerce University are bringing to the Islamic world the opening of these borders, and we will be opening the third day, which is devoted to the academic world. And so tomorrow we are going to have the discussion of several scientific papers that have been presented for publication to the European Journal of Islamic Finance. That is the scientific journal for deputed to Islamic finance, and the day will be organized since we have had several works published, and due to the richness of the session, we have several parallel sessions. So we will have an opening session where we'll be able to sum up these first 2 initial days. Then we will have parallel sessions that are going to touch upon artificial intelligence and new technologies as an efficient Islamic finance sector. And then the other theme of great importance that we've also tackled during these past 2 days is the social impact for a sustainable world. And finally, a parallel session devoted to Islamic finance issues. So we're going to conclude in the early afternoon with a conclusive session where several moderators from the previous sessions will be present, and we'll have 2 important final speeches, one by Professor Kabir Assam on the future challenges for Islamic finance, and the other one by Professor Nunzio Angiola, who is a member of the parliament who proposed the bill for Islamic finance in Italy. Alberto, thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening. And maybe we can give as breaking news our announcement. We took the decision of what we called the side TIEF, so the small TIEFs, that will be initiatives devoted to specific topics. We chose some. We decided to do something about halal cosmetics. Certainly, we're going to launch another event on the Islamic cultural heritage. We will do another one on cinema. And we'll have all these events involving 2, maximum 4 sessions devoted to specific topics. And so please follow us on the social media, so follow us on the website of TIEF. So thank you very much for participating, and see you tomorrow. Thank you very much.